Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the CFL Weekly Show. It is myself, Shane, Cole, Blake, and Coach. Um, Welcome back. It's the East and the West Division Finals. We're a week away from the Grey Cup. Canadian Bowl is this weekend. U Sports Championships are this weekend as well. You have the CFL, all CFL teams being announced today. But more important than all of that, a very quick coaching search for Ottawa got announced earlier, probably 2 hours ago. Uh, Ryan got it started off. Ryan Dinwiddie is now the head coach and general manager of the Ottawa Red Blacks, leaving Toronto with a head coaching search. What are your guys' initial thoughts and reactions to this news?
I guess I'll go first. I was completely caught off guard by this. Like I was at work today, of course, and you sent it to our group chat, and I literally seen it like maybe 30 seconds before that, and I was not expecting this at all. Like I was expecting, I had briefly started to hear some rumors about we'll get to that maybe a bit later about like O'Shea and a couple other people going to Ottawa, but I never once expected Ryan Dinwiddie to himself leave Toronto. Like he wasn't fired or anything. He just chose to make the kind of lateral movement. And it's definitely a shock. Like two Grey Cups in the last 4 years. The one year they didn't win a Grey Cup, they finished 16-2. But at the same time, the more I look back at it, like it's not that surprising. If I'm being completely honest with you guys, like the way the season went for the Argos, the multiple times, like at least three times, where he called out his players and like said there was a basically a lack of effort on the Argos. I'm not shocked that Dinwiddie's not going back to Toronto next year. Like, I kind of figured that maybe whether it was a him decision and Argo's decision, it would happen. But yeah, I didn't expect him to go to Ottawa. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I was stunned. I was very, very surprised. I saw the stuff about O'Shea, like Blake said, but and then we all talked about it last week. We wouldn't be surprised if Rick Campbell was going to be the head coach. But this right here, this is a power move right here, and I like this for Ottawa, man. With all the weapons that they got, they have an offensive guy in the building. They're going to be able to make some moves. I'm very impressed by this by Ottawa. So hats off to them for making something like this happen.
Yeah, I mean, pretty massive move for Ottawa. I think this sets them off, and we talked about it last week, as Coach you just said, kind of setting the new foundation going forward. And we kind of had the scaries of maybe a Rick Campbell going back there, or whoever the candidates could have been. This is definitely best case scenario if you're Ottawa, and obviously this doesn't mean that this is kind of them being able to turn things around for next season, but this is the perfect first step in my mind. As Blake kind of said, with some of the issues that I feel like maybe were going on in that locker room with Dinwiddie kind of speaking out at times this season, as well as kind of the news that obviously Dinwiddie's not only coming over as head coach, he is going to be able to kind of go to the grocery store, buy the food, and take it back, and kind of have full control himself, opposed to in Toronto. Maybe he didn't like the vision going forward, that he didn't have maybe full power over the entire roster, especially some offseason moves going into free agency and whatnot. And with kind of the current state of the team, maybe he just saw that going to a new team where, as we all four, I think I can even speak for Shane, didn't see something like this coming, because as Blake said, right, two Grey Cups in 4 years. The one year that they didn't make the Grey Cup, they had such a good record. So I really feel like it comes down to kind of Dinwiddie wanting to kind of branch out and go into his direction to shape his team going forward. So I'm looking forward to it, especially come free agency season, and kind of who Dinwiddie's gonna try to target and whatnot, and then obviously with the staff as well. I know Shane already kind of alluded to it on social media earlier, but yeah, fairly big news before we went live, and I'm excited for the show. As I said, that we have quite a bit to talk to, or quite a bit to talk about, and of course, Shane had to get a little bit of news in there as well.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
he's been feeling left out.
Mhm.
uh, I will say it's not shocking given what Ryan Dinwiddie has said in the past that he didn't just want to be a coach. He wanted more hands-on with like roster development and whatnot. I believe it was talked about like 2 years ago um, in regards to free agency after they went 16-2. I'm shocked that Burke has like moved up in the role. Like he was like, "Cool, I'll move up." After saying you're going to be our GM, you're going to be back next year as the GM. After the OSEG were to come out and say that, for him to move up into that VP player operations, player personnel role to bring Dinwiddie in, I think it shows for fans who are going to go into 2026, no matter what they did off of the field in terms of like player signings or re-signings, I think this shows to the fans that they want to win. They want to be competitive. They want to build a competitive team and a competitive culture inside the locker room. Bringing a guy who's won 2 Grey Cups in 4 years, has 16-2 record in between those Grey Cups. Bringing him in, putting him in a GM role, you're trying to build that core in the management side of things. It shows fans that like 2026 won't just be a make it or like a playoff expectation year. Like they want to make noise. They want to be hosting a playoff game next year. They want to be a top team in the league next year, and they want hopefully to be in the Grey Cup at this time next year, where they'll be hosting an East Final and on hopefully going to the Grey Cup afterwards. I think that's what this move signifies for 2026.
Yeah, for sure. Well said.
No, I would agree with that.
But yeah, then we got the big news out of the way. We'll jump into last week's games, the West semifinal and the East semifinal. We'll start in the East. Both great games, both incredible games. I didn't think the West would be able to outdo what we saw in the East, with Montreal giving up a 19-point lead in the first 6 minutes of the second half. But there we were. What were your guys' thought on the East final?
Yeah,
Want to go first?
yeah, I'll go first on this one. Um, a nuts game. Like it was. I had it off and on. Me, I had it off and on before going to the Lions game, and I saw that Montreal had jumped out to a 17-0 lead. They were up 25-6 at halftime, and went to get some food before heading downtown to the Lions game. And like within the time that it took me to get food, which was like 10 minutes, the Blue Bombers had scored 21 straight points to take the lead. Like they scored on the first possession of the second half to cut it to 12. They got a Davis Alexander interception, and they scored right after that to cut it to 5. And then Tyson Philpott, who actually had a really good game, 10 catches, over 100 yards receiving, fumbled on the next series, and it felt like you blinked, and the Blue Bombers were ahead. To be honest, I kind of thought, like, here we go again. This is a team that, and no disrespect to the Alouettes, like we'll talk about it later in the show when we talk about the upcoming East Final. But in the Blue Bombers, this is a team that at that point had still been to 5 straight Grey Cups. Like they know, as much as they've had problems this season, they know how to win when it matters. Like they know how to get to the Grey Cup. They haven't always won. Of course, we know they lost 3 straight Grey Cups, but they know how to at least get there. So when they took the lead, I thought the Alouettes were really in trouble. But they're we talked about it last week as well. Like they're a completely different team with Davis Alexander behind center. If that was MBT, I think it might have been game over for the Alouettes, but Davis Alexander was able to calm them down. He's like, it's okay, guys. It's only a 2-point game. Let's regroup. We're the only ones letting the Blue Bombers back into the game. They're not doing anything to beat us. And let's get back to our game plan and let's win, which is exactly what they did. They were able to get a Stevie Scott touchdown later on in the third quarter to retake the lead. And then after a couple of field goals, Stevie Scott was able to punch in the game-winning, or what was the game-ending score on. I want to kind of get your thoughts on this. A play that I don't think should have resulted in a touchdown, but like we've talked about it before this year, those weird rugby scrums where like the runner isn't going anywhere. Like in this case, it looked like Scott was going backwards, and yet the offensive line pushed him like almost 10 full yards into the end zone. It was ruled a touchdown, and the Alouettes are able to kind of escape with a 42-33 victory over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, ending the Bombers' 5 straight Grey Cup appearance games.
Yeah, I was similar to Blake, as you guys know. I went to the Lions game as well, so I actually caught the first quarter, which was nice. I was able to get to the stadium nice and early. Caught the first quarter, the two Tyson Philpott touchdowns. It was 17 rip off in the first quarter. And then I'll be honest, I kind of tuned out because I was like, oh, well, Montreal's going to roll from this point on. I want to kind of focus on what I'm doing here. And then we were down. I want to say like I got the update that Winnipeg came back like maybe at halftime or something like that, and I was like, "There's no way like Winnipeg came back." And as we said last week, huge shout out to CFL Classics. I was able to come back actually not Sunday and watch it yesterday and rewatch the second half of the game, and just like wow, what an incredible like fight back from Winnipeg to not lay down as they could have, and went into the offseason very cowardly and kind of been able to have a little bit of positivity. Although I do want to talk a little bit about them as we do kind of put to rest the 2025 version of the Bombers, and going forward, I think there is a lot of question marks. But Montreal, as Blake said, I think they're a completely different team with Davis Alexander. Not only does he bring like that common presence that I think we've saw with like TJ Lee coming to the BC Lions defense, I feel like he adds a ton of like swagger, as we saw with the back and forth with like Willie Jefferson and Willie obviously talking about going into Montreal and taking off their food off their table, and Davis kind of like clapping back with come on down to Montreal. So I feel like he not only brings them like that presence and that calmness, he also brings like that swagger and kind of like that. I don't want to say like cockiness, because I feel like a lot of fans take it as cockiness, but I really feel like it's just like straight up confidence, and he feels like that he can, when he's in the lineup, he kind of is that difference maker. Which, case in point, I believe now he's up to 12-0 playoffs and regular season record when he's a starter for the Montreal Alouettes. So he's obviously turning into a budding superstar in the CFL, you could say. And he's only obviously still pretty young, I believe, Shane, right? I think is he under 26?
I think.
Yeah. So still a ton of room to grow, get better as a starter. Hasn't even played a full season as 12-0. Once he gets to like 18, 20 games, let's see what he looks like then, and could take another huge step. So it'd be interesting to talk about the Eastern Final, as it's kind of like Bo Levi Mitchell and Davis Alexander, which should be I feel like a heavyweight matchup. But before we get into Winnipeg, I guess let's hear coach's thoughts and Shane's thoughts, I guess, on the matchup.
You want to go, Shane, or you want me to go?
Before we continue, sorry, Dave Naylor just tweeted this out. I want to see if I can share it. Here we go. So it sounds, according to Dave Naylor on TSN, that the Argonauts were expecting that they could match or counter whatever Ottawa was offering, and Dinwiddie just didn't return their call and let them know that he just went with Ottawa. Didn't even sound like he gave the Argos a chance to offer.
Wow.
Wow.
So Dinwiddie really wanted out of Toronto.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, by the sounds of it. So, sorry, but yeah, going back to I just wanted to put that in because it just came through about like 6 or 7 minutes ago. But for the game, I mean, Montreal was rolling. It seemed like they could do no wrong. Everything they were doing was working. In response to the rugby scrum touchdown at the end of the game, his feet were moving. He was making forward progress. It's not like he didn't really stop making forward progress. I don't know. I don't see it being an issue. I think it makes.
I thought it was honestly more so too. Like there was one Winnipeg defender and four like I think that's more of a team. Like Winnipeg, like you gotta rally to the coach. Like what's
you gotta rally to the ball.
Rally to the football. It's like football 101, man. You learn.
Yeah. But I
And
think if he
watching
wasn't, as
especially in
long
a
as he
goal
was
line
picked
situation like
up
that
and
too.
like carried to the end zone, like he was really like he was pushing. I think it would have been a bigger problem if he was just like picked up and carried into the end zone for 10 yards. But overall, I mean, Montreal left points on the board. They kind of gave Edmonton or Winnipeg a lot of momentum in that third quarter. But at the end of the day, I think the better team won. I think the team that was able to be the most consistent. Winnipeg had a good like 6 minute drive, like 6 minutes of momentum. And I think Montreal came out on top because they were just a better team overall. Uh, and I think they just got to clean it up, right? They can't give a veteran quarterback like Bo Levi those opportunities like they did with Winnipeg. Those offensive weapons. Montreal's going to have to play a lot better come this weekend against Hamilton.
Yeah, I think that when I watched the game, it was very surprising they jumped out 17-0 early. And then I was doing my reel. I posted. I did the Jimmy Berglund one, and all of a sudden Winnipeg is up. Like I'm like, how the hell did this even happen? So I get back on CFL Plus, which I got my own beef with CFL Plus. That shit is rough. But Winnipeg, that was their last gasp, man. And Brady started running the ball. Brady started hitting their head. I think we said something uh, in the group chat about when Brady starts hitting his head, it's a wrap. And Brady was rolling, but I think that was their last gasp of air. And hats off to Davis Alexander, man. Davis Alexander, when he's a leader, he knows how to bring that quiet confidence, that not quiet, but that confidence that we can move the ball downfield. We can make the big plays. He wants to strike. It's different from having Davis Alexander and Cody Fajardo. Whereas with Cody Fajardo, you don't know what you're gonna get. With Davis Alexander, you know we're gonna fucking score, no matter what. So it was really good to see that. Montreal's defense was too much. Isaac Bergman had a great game, man. I really was impressed with his game, and really good game. I'm excited to see what they're gonna do against Hamilton, and that's all I can really say about it.
Let's maybe put to bed the Winnipeg Blue Bombers then next, as they obviously head into the offseason. That's what I kind of wanted to ask you guys about, as Blake has the biggest shit grin I think I've ever seen. But I truly do feel like there's a lot of question marks going forward with them. I know Coach just kind of alluded to a little bit of Brady getting going, but I do believe Shane's usually the numbers guy that has it up or more accessible for us. But I do believe he only had was it a total of 8 carries on the game, and that's obviously been quite the talking point all season long, with obviously the fire Jason Hogan and all this crap. And it's funny to see the 360, because I remember Bombers fans seeing them, through the first 6 weeks, or even maybe through the first, I guess, 3 weeks, because that was when they were beating up on the BC Lions, those back-to-back games, and they were all gung-ho on Jason Hogan, and he was the
They
best
turned so
hire, and they switched up so fast. And I do believe that is a little bit of a problem. Like I don't believe he is maybe the best man in charge, but I would say that also for the fans that were like, man, like Brady kind of got, taken out of the game. The game script of being down 17-0 essentially eliminates Brady from that point on until you made the comeback, because obviously you're playing catch up, you're wanting to throw the ball a little bit more. But I think there's just more questions. Like we talked about Zach Claros, and then like he's obviously, it's basically run it back, and he kind of shared some frustrations. I was able to kind of like listen to their locker cleanout day media availability or whatnot, and he mentioned kind of like surprisingly like that he would almost like to like go a different direction, and with the offensive coordinator going into next year. And I feel like he also kind of like alluded to like just running it back with a lot of the same guys on offense, and I feel like that's kind of like that's the definition of insanity. Like like your era is over, brother. Like that run you guys had, it is finished, finito. There was no dynasty. You guys did win a couple of great cups, and that is nice. Will be remembered as a very great team. Zach Lewis will be remembered as arguably the quarterback of the 2020s, you could say. But the like running it back for one more year because like you guys had a great run, I feel like is just ridiculous. Number one, and you're wasting the prime of Brady Oliveira, arguably the best player at when he's at his best in the CFL. And to run it back and to, I feel like, kind of lean on Zach Laros for one more year is just a silly decision to do. And obviously the Mike O'Shea, I do kind of agree that I think he will end up being back. And a few years ago, it's crazy to see where we came. But I said that I never count out a team that had Mike O'Shea, Brady Oliveira, and Zach Collaros. But like at this point, it's basically Brady Oliveira, and like we'll see what Mike O'Shea is able to do in the offseason and whatnot, and kind of flip this roster on their head. But I really feel like they're closer to the bottom of the Western Division than competing, because I feel like obviously Edmonton, hopefully they'll take a step with Cody at quarterback next year. You look at the three other teams, I really feel like Saskatchewan, BC, and Calgary aren't going anywhere. They have quarterbacks at the top. They have head coaches. I feel like obviously Shane, I feel like maybe disagrees because and year to year, but Shane's obviously, as we already know, the most biggest hater in the CFL. We do know because he hates Trevor Harris. He hates anybody else that's good as well that doesn't go to Ottawa. So
Well, Harris might
That's
not
not
be the
true at all.
quarterback next
I
year.
also my issue. I mean, if you look at if you look at Saskatchewan has a really great team built around Trevor Harris. But there's no way I think Saskatchewan could be where they're at now if it was Jake Mayer under center all year.
Nope.
but
Like if Trevor Harris were to retire, unless you're bringing in someone of that caliber, I don't think they should be considered a lock to be a top 3 team in the West.
if he retires, absolutely. But
Like,
we're talking about if.
Yeah, but he's also a free agent this year too, Cole. So we might
Brady
not come
Oliveira
back.
is also a free agent this year.
Yeah, I mean Winnipeg. I mean, I don't think Mike O'Shea goes to Winnipeg. I think Mike O'Shea goes to Toronto. I think with Toronto opening up, with Dinwiddie leaving, he's talked about wanting to go back to Ontario. He has a very good relationship with pinball. Like he was a star for the Argonauts when he played in the league. I could very much well see him coming to the East. I do agree that Winnipeg is at the bottom. Like going into next year, they should be probably the favorite to finish last in the West. Their era, their 5-year run is done. You need to move on. Like Stanley Bryan, I believe, is like 40, will be 41 next year. Willie Jeffrey, I think, is like 37 next year.
Yeah.
Like their big players are getting up in age, and you can say what you want about, no one can beat Father Time. We've all seen it. No one can beat Father Time. At some point, Father Time is going to come knocking. I think for Winnipeg, you've had your 5-year run. Every team does it. Montreal went through it. Calgary went through it a little bit. Can they retool and be competitive? Sure, because it's going to be the same thing with Ottawa. Until the Elks can prove that they're a competitive team, no one's going to take them seriously. Like everyone's going to look at them as like they're the Elks. They're going to find ways to lose, just like Ottawa. Like they're just those are the 2 teams where you look at and you're like, they'll find a way to lose. But I think with for Saskatchewan, I think this year it's Grey Cup or bust. Like they have a really good defense, and they should have a really good defense in 2026. They have playmakers on the offensive side of the ball, but expecting a 40-year-old Trevor Harris to continue to play at the caliber that he's shown this year, or to stay healthy, because let's be honest, he hasn't been the healthiest guy in his CFL career, so there's that worry too. I think Saskatchewan might even fall back behind into that 3rd or 4th spot next season.
Yeah, I guess my trust in Saskatchewan lies in Corey Mace, and I think Corey Mace, as long as he's in the helm, brings that consistency. And to talk about Winnipeg, as we do agree, I think on a little bit of a chain. If Mike O'Shea leaves, I would say they're even worse without Mike O'Shea. So
Even
I
with
feel like
they should be.
they're damned if they do. They're damned if they don't. I feel like honestly.
Yeah, they have too many old players.
Yes, they're talking about running back everybody. Willie Jefferson, Jake Thomas, all of and I get it, all the OGs, the original guys that were there. But that is such a silly decision to do. I feel like you have to please Brady Oliveira, to stay and to want to be a part of this reload, as
He's
Shane
the guy
said.
I could
Because
see going.
in the CFL, you can, I feel like, reload fairly quickly. Maybe you have to take a 1-year hit and cross over, miss the playoffs, whatever it may be. But hopefully it's to maybe get younger players those reps or maybe get better, so it's a quicker turnaround. But I really feel like Winnipeg's in tough this offseason with the to-do list they have to do and just I guess the state of the Western Division as well. But I guess like we put to bed Winnipeg for 2025, as I know Blake doesn't want to talk about them too much longer. But Coach, you got any other thoughts on Winnipeg?
Yeah, I think it is. We always talk about better a year early than a year too late. They're like 4 years too late.
Yeah.
It's time. It's time. I mean, it's time for everybody to go their separate ways and for the organization to rebuild. If O'Shea does go to Toronto, it doesn't surprise me because he was a star in Toronto, teammates with Pinball. The culture is Mike O'Shea. Let's be real about that. Mike O'Shea is the culture. If you take him away from there, you have to rebuild and that takes about 3 years. So we could be looking at a nice drought from Winnipeg, which I know Blake will like that.
What a
But
shame.
what a shame. But again, also with Brady, this is my take on Brady Oliveira. It's going to be a Saquon Barkley situation. I could see Brady going to Ottawa. I could see Brady going to Toronto. He could stay. He could go to the East and just dominate. It just
I
depends on.
believe when he was a free agent last, I know BC was interested. I can't remember if it was Toronto or Hamilton was the other East team that offered him a lot of money as well. Because if I remember correctly, he took a pay cut, or not a pay cut, I guess, because he never necessarily left, but he took less money to stay in Winnipeg when other teams offered him more. So
But you can't
there's
do that
definitely going to be,
forever.
there's going to
You
be people
got your
interested
great
in his
cups.
services.
You got your great cups. You're entering. You're still in your prime. Can you? If
He
he
has
stays
one.
healthy, he's going to dominate. Brady is one of the best players. If not, when he's healthy, he's top tier. So we could see Brady in the East, but I'm not seeing him take another
Possible.
pay cut. But it is what it is, man. 3 year drought.
Yeah, I feel like their time's coming. But let's put that to bed and let's move on to the next matchup. I guess let's get to the West Final. Blake, Coach, let's maybe get your thoughts before Blake and myself go, as you're able to watch this one from home. And actually, shout out to you, as you already said, you were able to get back into the lab, so to say, get back into the reacts and stuff like that. I love to see that, Coach. But what was it like to kind of just watch the West Final after the East Final was a quite a good one?
Oh, I love this game. This game was back and forth. Vernon and Nathan Rourke going at it, man. But it was down the stretch where I was more impressed by BC. They won in a way that a lot of people, the casual fan will not understand, but they won with special teams down the stretch. It came down to playoff football, field position, special teams. They got the fumble that they needed because if Calgary would have gotten downfield, they would have scored.
Yep.
And it was just plain and simple, man. I think it was Adam LeClaire that made the tackle.
Yeah.
Am I right? Adam LeClaire.
Well, actually,
It
he's
hit
the one that
off
was
his own player.
there. He's
His
the one
shoulder
that was
pad, yeah.
there, but the returner for the Stampeders fumbled off the back of his own blocker.
Yeah, he ran into his blocker and fumbled.
Oh my god, it was, and I was watching it live, and I was like, "There's no freaking way that they just made that happen." And it was never like BC or Cal. Neither team had the game locked. It was a great playoff game. You gotta love those type of games where it's back and forth. Nathan was balling. Everybody played their part for BC. Robert Carter Jr. made great plays.
Oh, nice.
The kickoff return, and hats off to BC, man. They showed up and showed out at home. Blake, what'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, like obviously, as Cole knows, we were both in attendance at BC Place. I thought that like it was a back and forth game that at points it seemed like both teams had the opportunity to control. Both teams had the opportunity to really put the other team to bed, and neither one did. Like the Lions, the clock management in the at the end of the first half was just absolutely, and they doubled down on it later on in the game. But like the clock management overall for the Stampeders in that game was just absolutely atrocious. And I blame that on both like VA, who's a veteran in the league. Like we know how much me specifically loves VA. That's the one thing that I didn't like about. Obviously, I love the Lions advancing, staying alive for a chance at the Grey Cup, but I didn't love VA being upset on the sideline. But like that's on him. He has to know at the end of the first half how much time is left on the clock. You can't scramble, and if you're gonna scramble, that ball has to go to the end zone. Like you cannot throw that ball short. That was like 3 yards short. The Lions rally and make the tackle. And then in the second half, the one point, and I'm sure Cole might agree with me on this, the one time where I thought the Lions were in control of the game, they were going to get the ball back. They were up 27-14 at the time, and Calgary was punting on 3rd and 3. And unfortunately, it was the Okanagan Sun rookie, Jacob Bond, who jumped offside, ended up giving Calgary a free first down. They would come down and score, and it kind of led to Calgary's comeback in the game. So it was just as you said, Coach, like Robert Carter Jr., I tweeted this from the CFF X account. Like, is there anything on the football field that man can't do? Like, I was watching, of course, I was watching that kickoff return. I don't think you guys might have understood by watching on TV. He literally did not get touched.
Nope,
Like,
Yeah.
not one.
he
Everybody
took,
just
Not
hit the
one
mat.
person was near him.
no, he took the ball, and like by the time he was at like the 35, I knew he was gone because you just saw this hole and there was nobody there.
He didn't
So
think
that
twice about it. He got north
no,
to south real quick.
yeah, it was just and for a Lions team that as Cole knows and as our buddies at that Cole and my buddies over at the Three Down Bros have lamented for years. The Lions have had trouble with the special teams for the most part. So for the special teams to really win them that game was massive, and I think that that can only help them going into Saskatchewan because let's call it what it was. Like the Lions statistically got dominated in that game. They lost every single stat except for arguably the most important stat, which is the turnovers. Calgary had, I believe, 2 or 3 of them, and the Lions didn't commit any. And then the mental errors, like the Calgary, they had the mental error at the end of the first half. I would argue they had the mental error at the end of the second half, like when they kicked the field goal that would tie it, because after the huge Jalen Philpott catch, which got them into field goal range, not once but twice, they went for an end zone shot. And with 40 seconds on the clock, like there's no reason for the Stampeders to do that. Dedrick Mills was having a great day on the ground. Give the ball to Mills. If he doesn't get a first down, then worst case scenario, you kick a field goal with literally no time on the clock and you go to overtime. But the Stampeders played with fire, giving the Lions a chance with the ball with 30 seconds left, and Nathan Rourke made them pay. So it's an impressive win for the Lions. Anyone around the Lions will admit it was not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But in the playoffs in November, the only thing that matters is that you win football games. And the Lions won the football game. So they now get the opportunity to go to Regina.
Yeah,
I
I want to
will
talk about.
say
Go ahead, Shane.
VA lost them this game. And I think for someone to be around in the league so long as he has, you should know the situations that you're in. And you know what? Maybe the play calling was for 2 passes. You know what? After that Jalen Philpott big catch to bring him into BC territory, maybe it was play calls for 2 end zone plays. At some point, the quarterback, if you're a veteran in this league, you need to override whatever your OC says. At some point, you need to understand that like a pass here doesn't make any sense. We need to keep it on the ball. We need the clock moving. You don't have the issue of time running out if you set up for a field goal, right? Like you don't need the field goal to be off before the clock hits 0. You need to be set up for the field goal before the clock hits 0. Should have given it to Mills, run off some clock. If you have to kick a field goal, you probably waste 20 seconds, if not more, by running the ball there. on both attempts instead of 2 end zone shots that ended up incomplete and stopping the clock. And
Yeah,
then,
well, at that point, Shane, like the Lions didn't have a timeout because it was under the 3-minute warning.
exactly. So
So
you
they
should
don't
have
you already lose one automatically, and then they
they
lost
lost
their
on the
second
challenge.
on the PA or the PI challenge.
So if you're Vernon, you need to understand the situation that you're in. If your OC is calling you for a pass play, you need to take ownership of it. Be like, no, this is a bad play call. We're gonna run it. We have to waste time. We're not going for the win here. And I get it. They probably were trying to go for the win. But I think you have to at least play for the tie. Given the fact that you'll have 2 shots from the 35 to score, or you'll have at least 1 shot from the 35 to score a touchdown, you have to play for the tie in this situation. But more importantly, that first half, at the end of the first half, scrambling, he wasted like 7 or 8 seconds.
Yep.
At the end of the first half, he should have known within 2 to 3 seconds if he had an opening, if not to throw it away. Because again, you do that, you probably have 3 seconds to line up for a field goal. There you go. You would have actually been in that situation at the end of the game with a lead where you would have had to just run out the clock and you would have won the game. So I think as much as the defense lays blaze, I mean, you give up 33 points. Defense shouldn't be giving up 33 points in a playoff game and expecting to win. But at the same time, you were in a position offensively to win a game, and you had some mental mistakes. And that, in my opinion, needs to fall on the quarterback, especially someone who's been in the league as long as he has. He's not a rookie. It's not his first year in the CFL. It's not even his first year being a starter. Like, I think these are things that separate the great quarterbacks from the very good quarterbacks. So great on BC for winning, being able to get back into the West Final for like the 3rd straight year, or third time in 4 years. But I think this was a game that Calgary lost and not a game that BC won.
I would agree.
Yeah, I would disagree with you that Vernon Adams Jr. lost the game, but I would say that he definitely owns a majority of responsibility. I would say if like the other whatever 60 plays, he was fantastic. He was far and away the better quarterback in the game. As Blake said, they dominated everything other than my most important stat would be the score. Blake, I think that would be number
Fair
one,
enough.
and that's what ultimately won them the game. Absolutely, the end of half situation, they most definitely have to, or he most definitely has to take the chunk of the blame, and that's what Coach uh, um, Dickinson said after the game, that it was definitely on Vernon, that they had already reiterated that in the huddle of, we only have 9 seconds to go, it's end zone or out of bounds. So for whatever reason, Vernon kind of just mentally blanked. For me personally, I thought they kind of them playing for the tie, I think, kind of lost them the game in my mind. I understand like the running the ball to Dietrich Mills, but if they score a touchdown in that situation, I feel like they win the game. Opposed to kicking the field goal, giving them back time, they played scared in a sense of let's get the 3 points on the board. Trust our defense in this situation with 30 seconds, which should be reasonable to get a stop in that situation. But if you put 7 points on the board there's no BC getting into field goal range and maybe walking off the game. It's basically Hail Mary in that situation or nothing. So to kind of talk about Calgary and almost put them to bed, I thought they were far and away the better team, but similar to Montreal maybe controlled it a little bit better than BC, I would say, but good teams find a way to win dirty sometimes and win those greasy games that they got dominated or even weren't the better team. You could say, I wouldn't say they got dominated, especially Montreal. But came out on the better side in the win and loss category. From Calgary's perspective, they defensively got after Nathan Rourke for majority of the football game, outside of I would say 2 drives specifically. The one obviously to end the game with 30 seconds to go, they did not get any pressure on Burnett or Nathan, but obviously they're playing in coverage, only rushing 3 to 4 guys. And then the second scoring drive for the Lions that I thought Nathan had a ton of time, but Hicks, Hutchinson dominated, and even I would say Miles Brown as well. That kind of went under the radar a little bit after the game. I thought he was maybe arguably their second best defensive lineman outside of Hutchinson, and they were getting a ton of pressure as Brown and Hutchinson play in the interior of the defensive line right up the pipe, opposed to coming off the edge. They were really collapsing the pocket right away on Nathan. The running game, Nathan, outside of Nathan Work, they didn't have a running game, BC. We had 68 yards from Nathan. James Butler had 40 yards rushing. And I don't think he's nowhere near 100%, which is not a good sign going forward.
And they didn't
Calgary's secondary as well, outside of Justin McInnes, did a great job of keeping her wraps and kind of blanketing their receiving core. Dietrich Mills, over 100 yards, didn't get any more touches that I thought he should have got more touches in the second half to kind of control the game a little bit more, to ice that to keep the ball out of BC's hands a little bit more, because they kind of played a little bit of back and forth in the second half. As Blake said, each team kind of had that opportunity to put the other one away and really didn't take that opportunity. You also look at offensively. As I said, Dietrich Mills runs for over 100. Clark Barnes was very effective. Dominic Grimes was very effective as well. Jalen Philpott arguably made the biggest catch, the biggest play of the game, holding onto that football, and it's going to be all for naught essentially, because there will be some people that remember it and we'll talk about it, but it'll be forgotten in a loss. So it's like they had great performances, and Vernon Adams Jr., outside of, like I said, the two plays, was far and away the better quarterback in the game.
Yep.
I think for me, it's like you got the ball with a 101 left in the game. After BC took the go-ahead field goal, you had 101 left in the game, and you wasted 30 seconds. You had 4 passing plays and 1 completion. Even if you have a running play, 1 or 2 running plays mixed in between those incompletions, you might have only given BC like 10 seconds. And I think that's where, like, again, OC, your play caller, should also be aware of the situation, and the OC for Calgary should also be taking responsibility for calling 4 passing plays. You know, you started on your 37, you needed to go, you ended up settling for a 38-yard field goal. You're telling me that you had the ball on BC's 31 with 44 seconds left.
Mm-hmm.
Pass play, field goal. Took off 15 seconds.
Okay, but
you run it anywhere in there, you're probably knocking down another 5 to 10 seconds outside of the clock stopping, because you went from 39 to 33 seconds just from the field goal.
Okay, but that's not that. We're missing one thing about this game for Calgary. It wasn't just down the stretch. It wasn't just bad play calling. It was bad pacing of the game.
True.
Yep.
Terrible pacing. If your running back, who's the league leading rusher, already has over 100 yards, you got to mix in a couple runs. You've got.
And how many carries did he have, Shane?
14 carries for
111
yards.
Yeah, that's not. He's got to be
around 43.
They're trying to
match that 43-yard run. He had on 13 carries.
But you can't. And any playing against the number 1 offense in BC, you can't. You're not going to match that. Play your game. Play your game and play to your strength. Your strength is your running back. We always talk about the weapons that Calgary has. Sometimes, man, punch it down their throat, get some yards. If it ain't there, then you can mix in some of the pass. But you got to pace the game better. That's how I saw it.
No, I agree.
I guess I would say, lastly, from BC's perspective, I feel like it was nice to ultimately see them win a close game like that, because I think far often too this year we saw them on the wrong outcome of these games, and to maybe even lead into that point a little bit more about Vernon Adams Jr. I just feel like he does get tight in these moments, man. As I said, like when he was our quarterback as well, Blake. I said it. He was MOP caliber whenever we were in the regular season. But my biggest fear was that in a West semifinal, in a West final, he wouldn't show up. And God forbid he actually did today or on Saturday. But when the moment got biggest, when the lights came on, he did ultimately probably fold. So it's tough one, especially because he did. I think he did deserve. Calgary did deserve to win, if we're being honest. But
Yep.
that's not how the football gods, handle things. At the end of the day, you gotta play a full 60-minute game. And huge shout out to Nathan Rourke and Justin McInnes, man, with 29 seconds to go, and then a first down run to James Butler that went for 3 yards. I thought, we're literally waving the white flag going into overtime with no momentum. And that's, I guess, my last thing I would say, is that as a play caller, as an offensive mind, I have loved Buck Pierce and what he's brought to the BC Lions. As a head coach, I feel like he still has a ton to work on and learn about in terms of like the game managing side of things. Obviously, as we Blake alluded to, the pass interference call that Keon Hatcher, I think, was calling for more so. And I feel
Brutal
like
call.
I get it. I get it from like that standpoint that maybe your guy's a little bit emotional, but like we got to have a better operation, whether that's like from the headset coming down or from the booth coming down, that you're able to get a better look at just before you throw the challenge flag. Because if you're going off just like pure emotion, pure just like believing your guy out there, like they're competitors, man. They're going to believe they caught the ball whether they did or not. So I feel like that was mistake number one of losing your timeout in that situation. And then number two, where they got the ball back, I think after that Kieran Persant fumble recovery, and they ran the ball twice and went 2-0. And it's like, dude, like I get it. I get that's the foundation of your offense, but like sometimes we got to understand time and place and situation in the game. And that's the
Take
time
a
and the place
shot.
where you gotta choke the game out. You got to put the ball in your player's hands and let him go win it. Your player's hands being Nathan Rourke, because your quick game is lethal. Nobody can mess with it. Nobody can cover it in the CFL. If you're in rhythm getting Nathan Rourke in that quick game, opposed to dropping back and trying to attack that medium and intermediate range, that's where you're effective. So Buck Pierce, especially going against the Corey Mace-led defense and stuff like that, they got to be in their P's and Q's and got to be better in that game management side of things, because that can definitely blow things open in a game versus Saskatchewan. So,
Yeah, and
shoot.
last thing before I let Shane and Coach go, if they want to add on, I thought it was actually brilliant by Buck to call that run play on first down, because I agree with you, Cole. I was like, in the moment, I was like, what are we doing? Like, we're probably gonna run the ball one more time. The clock's gonna hit zeros. We're gonna take a knee on third down, and it's gonna go to overtime. And that, like, I was listening to a different podcast today, and they were saying how brilliant for Buck Pierce that was, because I'm sure Calgary was thinking the exact same thing. They're like, okay, BC's they're just going to run the ball and we're going to play overtime and whatever. And then all of a sudden he hits Stanley Berryhill on, as you said, that quick game. And Berryhill makes a move, gets 20 yards. And you're thinking that, because of course you and I know that Sean White, is accurate as he is for most of the time, doesn't exactly have the longest leg. So you're thinking, okay, if they get 15, 20 yards, maybe you have a shot. I will admit, I was honestly thinking, if you get to midfield, throw Carl Meyer out there. Like, throw Carl Meyer out there and punt for the Rouge to win the game. Because before the rules have changed, like, they could have won the game like that. But you put it perfectly on the CFF YouTube. They ran that bender play to Justin McInnes, and the rest is history. Like, Sean White hits a 43-yarder, which in stadium and watching thousands of replays, okay, maybe not that many, but like 15, 20 replays of the kick, that was a lot closer than it
Yeah.
maybe Lions fans would have liked. Like,
It
that was
it's snuck
drift.
it's snuck
That
in.
that was well, I wouldn't say it snuck in, but it was drifting to the left. Like, it was drifting, and White made it, and here we are.
I think one thing we haven't mentioned was Calero's hitting the uprights on what would have been a wide open touchdown pass in the back of the end zone. I mean, I know it didn't matter because they ended up scoring like a play later, but it's just funny. There's been a lot of talk about moving about the CFL deciding to move the goalposts to the back. So I find it kind of funny that in one of the playoff games that
It
Caleros
happened.
hits the upright not even the crossbar, the upright on what would have been probably an easy touchdown in the third quarter. I mean, I know they did end up scoring, so it doesn't make that big of a difference. And before we move on to this U Sports and CJFL, quickly wanted to touch base with the Sean Oakman situation. He has been suspended indefinitely, been released by the Alouettes for threatening to send inappropriate pictures to a minor of a kid of someone he was intimate with.
See you never, Sean Oakman. If we're being honest,
yeah,
we'll never see that guy in pro football again. And
it's good riddance. Like he was a great player, but you do something like that, and let's mad respect to the Alouettes. Like literally, as soon as they found out, they cut him, and they're like unlike other teams in the league, Toronto Argonauts, but as soon as they found out, they cut him. They're like, you're done. We have a zero tolerance policy, and for the Alouettes, zero means zero. So good on them for cutting him. Sean Oakman, happy trails, I guess, but not really. You're never coming back to the CFL, and as you said, Cole, you're never coming back to a pro league. So
I feel like he doesn't deserve that much time either. Fuck the guy.
No, I just figured we'd have to mention it.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it happened the Thursday or the Friday.
It was the Friday night. It was right before the game.
Yeah, so figured we'd have to at least touch base on it.
Big kudos to Montreal, like you said, Blake. That takes they could have
cut him.
Let's we have a big playoff game tomorrow. Let's keep him, right? I feel like that happens probably more than we think in pro sports, where they let people get away with.
He wouldn't have played anyways, but I get your point, Cole.
Yeah.
We'll wait till after the playoff game and see what happens. Don't let it be a distraction before. But yeah, let's just jump right into the U Sports. We are, I believe, 2 weeks away from the Vanier Cup being held, I believe, in Regina this year. After being held at Richardson Stadium in Kingston the last couple of years. So it's going back to Mosaic. So at least Saskatchewan will be able to see at least one championship game end in their favor this year.
Potentially.
But,
yeah, you heard that right, Coach.
But yeah, we'll start out west.
Cheering for the Lions.
We'll head out west. We'll do Can West first. Kind of a little bit closer between that. We'll start with Regina and Manitoba going to double overtime. It was a field goal kicking back and forth game until the very end, where Manitoba missed their field goal attempt. Regina wins 32-29. And then Saskatchewan, kind of expected, rolls over UBC 26-7. You guys have any thoughts on these games?
No, I as you said, Shane, I kind of expected the UBC game. It was on the same time as the Lions game. It started, I believe, an hour and a half earlier. So I checked before the Lions game started. I saw it was 19-0, and I kind of knew at that point it was over. Manitoba and Regina, that was a heck of a game. First of all, shout out to Maya Turner. I did not realize she was still kicking for the Manitoba Bisons. I was looking at that scoring summary and I saw a couple of her field goals. I was like, wow, she's still kicking for the Bisons. That's a really cool story from more than a year ago now. But the Rams were able to, the Rams were able to just barely pull that out. So it's a Battle of Saskatchewan in the Hardy Cup. The only shitty thing about that, and pardon the language, Shane, but the only non-fun part about that is that the Hardy Cup will be in Saskatoon, and it's gonna start I think it's an hour, or they might have moved it. I believe I saw that it got moved, but it's gonna be on the same day as the Western Final at Mosaic. So it's there's not gonna be a lot of fans that are going to the Hardy Cup, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's at 2 p.m. Central Time.
Yeah, which will be noon our time, but still, like, that's only 3.5 hours. So it'll likely just be ending as the West Final kicks off.
Yeah, because I think the West
It's
Final
tied
6 p.m. Eastern. So
6:30, I thought, but
or yeah, 6:30 Eastern, 3 p.m. Eastern for the East Final. So I don't know what that time is out there with the time change. I think it's
3
it's
and
an
12.
hour behind.
yeah.
So
So
Or yeah, sorry.
um,
But yeah, I didn't get to watch any like U Sports last weekend, or really in general this year, man. I kind of bummed out just diving back into the BCFC a little bit more. Especially this last weekend, I was kind of hoping to. Well, actually, thankfully to Blake, when you put it in the chat the other weekend there when UBC won the overtime game, I remembered UBC put the free like stream trial in their story, so I actually got to watch a little bit of that game, but I don't think I've watched like a single game from start to finish this year, which is kind of a
I've
bummer.
watched
And
like
Canada
two.
West is, as we know, Canada West is so much fun, man, on a weekly basis. You never know who's going to win, and it's always chaotic. So it is a bummer, and hopefully, definitely look into what time's the Hardy Cup? Blake's at 1. You
it's a
said
noon our
noon.
time, yeah. So
So
should be
yeah,
able to watch. Well, it'll be on the East Final. So set up a couple screens, have one on the East Final on, the other one the Hardy Cup.
Yeah.
yeah.
So moving into to Ontario for the Yates Cup. You got Laurier beating Guelph 37-30. A lot closer game than I was anticipating. I mean, Guelph has been a very strong opponent. They haven't really been a rollover and die team this year. And Laurier's had some close calls. Like they went down to the wire against Ottawa. They had to goal line stand it against the GGs to keep their perfect record. And then Queens beat Windsor 36-25. And Queens arguably has been better than Western this year. I know head to head, I think Western beat them by 5. Queens kind of had a shitty draw starting the season with Laurier and then Western back to back weeks. But that should be a really good game. For the Yates Cup, Laurier tries to get back to the Vanier Cup after last year, or tries to get back into I think it's the UTEC Bowl they're in this year. But
Yeah, sorry, Shane. Before you go with the rest of the scores, I will just say I checked that Laurier and Guelph game. Like, I believe it was at halftime or just before, and it was like 24-0 for Laurier. So Guelph made a furious comeback in the second half that, as you said, just fell a little bit short.
yeah, so they're playing. Yeah, so the UTEC Bowl is going to be between OUA and AUS. So it's going to be Laurier's back in the world. Like whoever wins this game will more than likely
Laurier.
end up in the Vanier Cup because they're gonna
Not
put
Laurier,
belt to
Queens.
ass to whoever they play out of the ASU.
Which will be St. Mary's and I believe Bishop advanced.
Yeah, it's the Mitchell Bowl. Might be wrong. Might have been looking at the wrong year. I think last.
Oh, the AUS.
Okay, no. So it's OUA versus Can West in the Mitchell Bowl. It's RSEQ and OUS.
Right, I thought we talked about that earlier in the year that it was
Yeah,
OUA
so
Can
that
West.
that actually
That
might
should
be
be
a
a
really good game
That should
between.
be a
yeah,
really good game. Either
that should be
Regina
really
and Saskatchewan versus Queens and Laurier should be a really good game. Montreal and Laval are going to put belt to ass to whoever they play in
yeah.
the RSEQ. Also, I'm going to just vent real quick. Something needs to change within RSEQ AUS. You have 2 universities playing at college level. You have Dalhousie and UNB playing like college level or college league football. You have a Quebec team in Bishops who is like 12 hours away from almost all AUS schools in the AUS. Something needs to be done with the RSEQ and AUS football situation. Either merge and keep separate but play each other, or bring up UMB and Dalhousie and then put Bishops back into the RSEQ because AUS has been too much of a joke the last probably 20 years. Since the early 2000s, they've done nothing
When was the
positive
last time they won a Vanier Cup?
I think St. Mary's was the last one. I think it was like 2002 or 2003.
Did 1, yeah, or something like that.
Yeah, like it's been a while.
They're the joke of the U sports.
Yeah,
No
it's
offense.
basically like the Pac-12 of Canadian football.
Wow,
Hey,
he's not wrong.
I'm not
wait. The new Pac-12 or the old Pac-12?
the new Pac-12.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, you're right.
Like it's like you have your SEC, your ACC, and your Big Ten, and then it's the new Pac-12.
I was
Like,
like,
Nobody gives a shit about the
don't
Pac-12.
respect my school. We went to a national championship 2 years ago, but we're not part of the Pac-12 anymore. So
exactly, point proven. So
go Dogs.
it's just it just bugs me that like Bishop is literally the furthest Quebec school by travel. Like it would have made sense if Laval's there because Laval's like 5 hours away from most schools. Like they're closer to the AUS than they are to the RSEQ schools.
Yeah, but you can't let Laval play the AUS schools because every week the score would be 100-0.
Well, yeah, 100%. I agree. But I'm just saying that like it's just funny that like basically the furthest Quebec team is in the AUS. And
Yeah,
then there's a team that's like 5 hours away from most schools, and they're playing the RSEQ, which is like 5 hours away from Montreal.
but
So,
whatever.
but anyways,
And Dunsmore's, is it Laval, Montreal?
Yeah,
yeah, Montreal beat the crap out of Concordia 51-2. Laval beat McGill 47-25, and then it's St. FX and versus St. Mary's.
okay, so it
Mary's
wasn't Bishop, so
37.
St. F.
Go
And
X.
St. FX beat Bishops 26-24.
You still have a couple friends on that team, don't you?
I do have a couple buddies on that team still. I don't
I
know
do.
how. Shout out to Nathan Coyote. That man, I played with that dude 6 years ago.
I had a couple of guys that I played
Long
football
live
with
COVID.
when I was
Well,
St. FX.
he got a COVID year, and then he also broke his leg, so he got a medical year in there as well. So that's why he's literally played forever. I'm like, dude. I mean, keep living the dream, keep hanging on to it.
He's
But
our age and he's still playing.
literally, we played 6 years ago, bro. Like, how the hell are you still playing? Well, he's not my age. He's a few years younger than me, but still, I always like,
Okay,
dude,
so
give it up. Dude.
that's
You're
like
an old man.
that's like when you hear about like down in coaches neck of the woods, like the college QBs that are like 33.
There's a
like,
27.
there's a 50-year-old playing D3 now.
I
Yeah,
know.
at Compton College.
Wild.
I just heard about the story last night watching a podcast, and I was like, he's almost pushing 50, bro, and he played for the coach that was on. I don't know if you guys watched Last Chance U, Coach JB.
Yeah.
He coached him. It's like, and he was a coach for him too. And I'm like, bro, you trying to do the LeBron shit? It ain't working like that in football, fam. Come on now.
Bro, can we talk about how like some of the eligibility rules now? Seeing guys who've gone to NFL camps going.
Mhm.
I saw that. There was
school.
like somebody that committed. I saw that yesterday. Someone committed to, I want to say like Duke or something. And then someone commented like, how is this dude committing to a college school when he's literally, his picture was him at an LA Chargers mini camp.
Yeah. Absolutely wild. But I mean, you're seeing it in basketball too. You're seeing a bunch of like the G League guys who came out of college, like coming out of high school.
Yeah, well, like LeBron and like Giannis, Giannis put it today.
Yeah,
like technically they would have college eligibility.
They never played.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
It's like I think J.R. Smith. I think he went to UNC's and is now part of their golf team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because apparently playing university basketball still means you have eligibility to play university golf, which that's wild to me. But hey, man, take advantage of it. Like, screw it.
He's probably the man on campus.
Whatever you can do.
Hey, man,
we're getting off topic here. For anyone that forgot as well, the Canadian Bowl was not last weekend. It is this upcoming Sunday. And Cole, I know you had the interview with Coach Miller again, so that's up on the CFF YouTube, correct?
Yeah, I was trying to get Coach Tom Sargent, but the Hilltops are in the Stone Age to try to get a hold to, so it was very frustrating. But that's a rant for another day.
I think that's just the PFC because their social team has been quiet as hell.
Yeah,
that they were non-existent.
Shane, they don't have a website. Shane, I'll just end it at that. They're a conference that doesn't have a website. We're gonna end it at that.
I don't think the OFC has a website. Every time you look it up, it redirects it to like
they might. And that says it all. That's all
BCFC
you need
isn't
to.
super. I know Cole, you're in the process of changing that, but the BCFC one isn't great either.
Yeah, it's better though. It is better. At least you can find like the stats. Because
Yeah, true
obviously having
enough.
to go back and forth, it's nice that
But
they they do get updated. Like I would say, I don't know with having not much experience with the U Sports stuff. I would say they probably get up faster, which is nice. But they do have problems of like they're not always correct, and then like they're kind of having to change them, which is always an issue. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. I'm really glad it's on Sunday, as we already have what is it? Dunsmore, Yates, Hardy, West Final, East
Loney,
Final, whatever else is on Saturday. So it's like,
Loney,
I'm
Canada, Italy.
yeah, Canada, Italy. Yes, right, Blake. Thanks for
That's
reminding me.
like
Canada,
9
Italy.
a.m. Eastern, like Eastern time, isn't it? It's like
God
6
damn.
a.m.
Yeah,
your
I'm not
time.
getting up for that. I'll
That's
just
where
check the
Shane
score
definitely
when
has
I
the
get up.
luxury of yeah being at 9 a.m. Eastern and 6
I
o'clock
don't even think it's on
Pacific.
like any TV. Like I think it's stream only.
It's stream only, yeah.
So I'll be at
That
work,
that should
so it
be
doesn't. I won't be able to watch it.
that should be an interesting one. As I know, last time Canada and Italy played back, I believe like maybe 10 months or whatever, Canada slapped the shit out of them. I would say that I did hear that like apparently Italy like that was their B team, I guess, or that's what they say. So from all accounts, it sounds like it's going to be a little bit more of a competitive game. So that one should be fun as well. But Canadian Bowl on Sunday, man, I'm looking forward to this one. As I already said, I'm never counting out anybody coming out of the PFC, but I got my money on Okanagan obviously coming out of this one, and I think it's going to be one that kind of like comes down to the fourth quarter and maybe not who has the ball last, but I definitely think it's going to be one that Saskatoon's able to keep it close enough to be a really tight contested game. And Saskatoon's been in these games, although Okanagan's been in the last what 2 out of the 3 last Canadian Bowls. Obviously, they won it in
Back to
2022,
back.
and then they were in it last year and lost to St. Clair. But Saskatoon's been in this. They're the model franchise in the CJFL over the last 25 years, dating back to the 2000s. They won it in 2023 over on the island out, and they beat West Shore down in Langford. So they're able to do it in all sites of elements, taking their show on the road. So them being at home, I feel like is going to be able to make them comfortable. But I feel like Okanagan's got the team to go in there, and especially with that defensive line, I'm really looking forward to that matchup. Of I believe their running back's David Collins. He's another import guy that we've seen. I know Shane, we talked about it kind of maybe like 6 weeks ago, like the imports coming up from the states now, and it's become really like way more unpopular now over the last I would say 3 seasons of the guys coming up from the states and realizing that they have kind of like this whole new world in the junior football ranks. So I'm looking forward to the game on Sunday. But yeah, CJFL TV, folks. I know for coach, I think it's $17 or whatever it is. I think it's probably like 25 for us in Canada, but should be a good game.
When Cole says he has his money on Okanagan, he's not kidding. He was paid to say that, but
I was probably.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is a game Okanagan should be able to walk through. I think if Okanagan
I
wants,
disagree. They're not. Cole already said it. Like
Mhm.
Saskatoon. First of all, the weather is not, which
Has
like
anyone looked at the
will
forecast?
also to the add to the West Final. The weather's not gonna be, like it's not gonna be terrible Prairie's weather, but it's not gonna be Kelowna either.
Mhm.
So
Mi-
that's
minus
gonna,
mi- minus 14 is what it's the low, I guess.
yeah,
But
exactly. So
I, I
that's gonna
I
play
do
a
agree
difference, and
with
it's just
Blake. I think because of like that aspect of as Okanagan's been able to have that luxury of like being able to sleep in their own beds, having St. Clair travel across country, I think that will play a part to maybe like a slow start from Okanagan where like I know they will be locked in, but they also go for like the awards banquet, right? And sometimes as like young kids, you kind of like almost let things get a little bit too like built up, and you kind of don't keep the main thing the main thing. So that's what I do kind of expect is like Sass to kind of get out to a little bit of an early lead, Okanagan to kind of like be a little bit sleepwalking a little bit and kind of catch back up and be able to fight their way back into victory. But who knows? Because Okanagan is a strong team, so
it's not like
it could very
it's not like
well.
Saskatoon has been running roughshod all year either.
No,
no.
for sure.
So like,
And I would say from like the experts, they say that like Regina was the much better team. It just kind of was, the day that Saskatoon was the better team that day and came out on top. But I just think like that Prairie like style of play will just keep them in this football game. They're going to run the ball. They do what they do. David Collins was 1,000 yards back. He was kind of like their best player, all Canadian as well. So I think he'll be able to keep them in this one. But they also do like a quarterback by committee, which I was watching the game last week, like the Regina Saskatoon game. I didn't love that because I feel like Okanagan did that last year, and if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have any. So that is definitely a tough one, but it's gonna be a good football game, folks, and definitely tune into it if you aren't doing anything on Sunday. I'm pissed that it's a 12 o'clock start time, as everyone does know. The Bills play at 10, so there's gonna be a little bit of interference there, but we'll I guess have to throw the two screens up, but yeah, looking forward to it.
But
Yeah.
should we get into the finals quickly, the
100%.
East and West?
So East Final starts 3 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. Montreal going to Hamilton. I don't know if you guys saw what one of my posts from earlier this week. Hamilton is 16-2 at home hosting the East Final.
That's crazy.
Montreal is like 4-10 on the road in the East Final,
and still ain't won a Grey Cup since '99.
But one of them was 2 years ago.
Yes,
in
Toronto.
In Toronto.
So
against a 16-2 team, and they were what, 10-8, 9,
yeah,
something like that.
Something like that.
If you just watch,
6 turnovers will do that to you. But
hey, he who must not be named choked.
No. Anyways, who wants to go first? Should I just start it off?
I'll start it.
Go
Go
ahead, Coach.
I think Scamilton's going to choke.
Yeah,
I truly believe they're going to choke. I think the pressure that Montreal defense, I love watching them. They somehow they step up. Somehow their pressure is going to be trouble for Bo Levi Mitchell. They don't really have a consistent run game to be able to match that receiving game that they've got. That defense is still shaky. I know they got my dog Reggie. I know they got a couple guys out there that can make plays, but I got Montreal winning this one, man, and going to a Grey Cup.
Maybe our boy Simone will hang up the headset and go play for the Tiger Cats.
Oh, please. Don't get me started.
Out the booth.
Those roster rules are so weird. Like, didn't someone get signed last week and suit up for the playoffs?
Yeah, there's no deadline.
So he could, like, technically he could do it, but
just to lose another Grey Cup?
Yeah, exactly.
He ain't getting there.
He ain't doing it.
Blake, you want to go, buddy?
Won the 2015 Grey Cup, though. Him being traded. Him and Mazzoli.
Yeah, true enough. Yeah, sure, I'll go. I actually, like, I'll agree with Coach. Like, I think this is a game. I won't reveal my West. God damn it,
too, Frankie.
I won't reveal my West Division pick just yet, but I have the Montreal Alouettes
first.
We're talking about
what?
the East.
Why are you jumping ahead?
I'm not. I just said.
Then don't mention it.
What the fuck you mentioned it for, dog?
Because I had a point to make, and you guys interrupted me.
You don't want to off the West. We're even on the West.
But no, I had the Montreal Alouettes going to the Grey Cup before the playoffs even started. Like, a healthy Davis Alexander, it looks like they finally found a run game with James Letcher injured and Travis Tice. Although I heard potentially one or both of those might be back for the East Final. But they found a run game with Stevie Scott III. They have all their pieces healthy. Austin Mack, Charleston Rambo, Tyler Snead, the only 1,000-yard guy they had on the team this year, Davis Alexander. I just think that and I know like a lot of which the CFL model is so dumb. Like, can we talk about that for a sec? How do you have the Lions as like favorites to win the Grey Cup, but they're not favored to make the game? How does that make sense? But anyways, yeah, and I think that the Hamilton defense is not as good as Montreal's defense. Like, the 2 times these teams played each other in the regular season, Davis Alexander did not play in either one of those games. And we talked about it earlier in the show. We talked about it last week. The Montreal Alouettes are a completely different team with Davis Alexander as the starting quarterback. I believe that his streak will not continue past the Grey Cup, but I think it'll continue into the Grey Cup.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I'm gonna take Montreal as well in this one. I just think they're a little bit of a deeper team. It's no disrespect to Hamilton, with especially with Shane's stats of like their history in the hosting the Eastern Final. I expect Bolívar Mitchell and Kenny Lawler to be amped up and excited for this one, for them to be on full display. But I mean, like, I don't even think it, like, Davis Alexander definitely deserves, like, the credit he definitely deserves to be talked about. But, like, their defense, as Coach said, man, is so fun to watch, even with, like, losing guys, as we just talked about a few minutes ago with the whole situation. And they're able to, like, not miss a beat whatsoever. They're able to just rush their guys. You look at their linebackers with Bev and Sankey and obviously Dequoy in the secondary, Ento in the secondary as well. And they're just, they're so strong up front. And it's crazy to, like, think of, like, guys like Joshua Archibald, who like I was very high on in BC a few years ago. I thought like if he like had a bigger role on BC or on another team, like that he would be able to like be a breakout type of player. But he's been essentially like 10 snap guy on game day, if that. Like he's pretty much a rotational player. I know he was battling through a little bit of injury early on in the season, but like they just have guys in Berglund and Uguak that are able to rush the passer. And I feel like that's going to be a big thing that like they're able to get and affect Bo Levi Mitchell, and Davis is going to be able to bring, as I said, that presence, that calming presence, that confidence, that swagger to his team. And I mean, like, man, like their receiving core, I feel like is a little bit underrated as well. Like that doesn't get talked about as much. Of like Philpott, I know we're all high on Tyson, and feel like that if he's able to put together a full 18-game season, he could be even a bigger star. You look at a guy like Tyler Snead, who was an All CFL pick for this year. Austin Mack, we know what Austin Mack is when he plays a full season or is at full strength when he's healthy. Obviously, got his NFL look. And other guys in that Rambo, obviously, is another guy that's very effective for that offense. And they're banged up at running back and able to keep on ticking, right? Obviously, they're without Travis Tice or without Walter, their other
Fletcher.
backs, and they're kind of making it work with Stevie Scott. He's able to be in there. He's being effective. So I got Montreal. No kind of shot at Hamilton. I think they're a great team, deservingly so this season. But I think their season is going to come to an end on Sunday, and it's just it's unfortunate that Montreal's standing in their way, because I think Hamilton's arguably one of the better teams this season, but I think Montreal is just that much better.
I agree with Coach. They're frauds.
Can we talk about real quick just when they let go of Walter Fletcher and it's been running back by committee? That's a testament to the system that they have.
Where their offensive line too, Coach. Like they just Shane mentioned when he saw Montreal in person, like they draft Tiger Shanks as this rookie. Now he's kind of taken place at that right tackle spot. He's a massive human being, and they have what is it now? 3 Canadians, I think, that are like playing at a very high caliber level right now, and it's like they move bodies inside. They're nasty inside, man. Tiger Shanks, as I said, young kid, just a rookie. So like Montreal, I feel like has a very strong foundation with Jason Moss, Davis Alexander, that defense going forward, that they're going to be like, I feel like we all kind of like, we did talk about Hamilton quite a bit of like, Hamilton being the best team in the East when, Davis Alexander was not playing, but like we all, I feel like knew in the back of our minds that Montreal is a much different team, that if Davis is healthy come playoff time, Montreal is by far the best team, I think, in the East.
Hamilton was only the best team in the East when Davis was hurt by default.
I think what it comes down to is that you have arguably the best defense at getting after the quarterback. Montreal was tied with BC with sacks made last year with 45. But Hamilton and Montreal, too, are some of the better offensive linemen at keeping their quarterback upright. Montreal only gave up 26 sacks, which tied Saskatchewan for second fewest. Surprisingly, BC's number 1 in that category.
Nathan Rourke has a lot to do with that.
And Hamilton
he just doesn't allow himself to be sacked.
Yeah. And Hamilton is second or third technically with 27 sacks allowed. I think that's what it's going to come down to in this game. Hamilton has 36 passing touchdowns this season. I think if Montreal's defensive front, like their front seven, I mean, I would just say they're 12 because we know how much Noel Thorpe loves to use his safeties and his DBs and blitz packages. I would say that like if Hamilton's offensive line can give Bo Levi time, that's going to be the difference in this game. If they can get Greg Bell in the game, I think we say it all the time where like you win the game or lose the game inside the trenches. I think this is going to be the embodiment of it. Whoever can dominate that the trenches today and give their quarterback enough time to make the plays or give their running back holes to run through will win the game at the end of the day. I think that is just as clear as there's no other factor in this game. It's not, if Phil Putt has a good game or if they can double up and force them to use like Keandre Smith or Tim White instead of forcing the ball to Lawler. I think it's a simple case of if either team can win the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, that's the team who's going to win. I think
it's not going to be a pretty game. It's not going to be a pretty game.
I think Montreal's going to do it. I love Montreal's front seven. Berglund is a beast. Don't discredit Sankey too. Like Sankey in that linebacking spot and Beverett, like those guys are absolute monsters on that defensive front seven that need their flowers. Like we talk about Alexander and how this team is a different team with Alexander. If this defense, the defense is the engine that makes this cart go, and I think they're going to be the difference maker of this game. I think Montreal is going to walk away with another road victory and be back in the Grey Cup for the second time in 3 seasons.
Well, if it wasn't for the defense, they might not have made the playoffs. Never mind, had a chance of making the Grey Cup.
And to be fair, the defense gave them every shot to win last game. After the turnovers and whatnot,
yep.
They were put in some bad situations, but when push came to shove, they were able to get after Kolaros. They were able to get some. They were able to basically force Winnipeg to throw the ball instead of running it to Oliveira. Like they were able to come up big in certain key spots. But also, he's only one finals loss. He only has one finals loss in his career. So again, experience. Lawler's been here before when he was with Winnipeg. Like Tim White's been to a Grey Cup. That defense have guys that have been to a Grey Cup. Like I think this would be a close game. I think I would be shocked if both teams hit over 30 points. I think it's going to be like a 26-24 victory. I think it's on the kick of either on the leg of Maltos or Leggio.
Yeah.
I also think unfortunately for us that considering how good last week's game are, I feel like it's gonna be hard for them to like live up to like we're gonna like like these both are gonna be good and then it's gonna end up being like maybe one of them will be a blow. I'm like damn, because I love close football games, man. As much as especially in like when BC's playing, it sucks for the nerves and whatnot. Like close playoff football is just the best, man. Second to none.
But
All right. Anything else to add before we move on to the West Final?
West Final, and let's get out of here, boys.
Let's do it.
West Final at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. You have the BC Lions heading down to Saskatchewan. This is Saskatchewan's like 9th or 8th time hosting the West Final since 1958, which is ridiculous to think of, all things considered. But BC's back in the West Final for the 3rd time in 4 years. Not great on the road. Saskatchewan's not great at home. This is going to be a very interesting game. But you guys are all fans of the other 2 teams, so I'm going to let you guys go first. I think it should go Blake, Coach, and then Cole to finish it off.
Oh, yeah? If Coach, you want to go first?
No.
Blake goes first, and then I'll be Coach, and then I'll be Cole.
I'll go first, Blake, if you want. Then we can switch things up. As I'll go out as far to say that I guess we are making our pick, so I do got to make a pick. But at the beginning of the season, not to backpedal, because I knew I did joke about it a little bit during the middle of the season of like I wanted Hamilton, Calgary to meet up in the Grey Cup. But I did before the season, I believe, when we did our pre-predictions of Montreal Sask, because that was kind of the hot pick coming in. So I am going to pick Saskatchewan in this one. I will go as far to say that one. I would love to be wrong in this situation, Blake. I just feel like the difference is that, as we've seen it in previous years, this game's being played not in BC Place. And I feel like that does, unfortunately, always come into play, not only just with the weather, as we saw in Winnipeg, when you can't communicate offensively, when the crowd's loud and you're trying to make checks, you're trying to change plays, you're unable to. The communication, you start to take false starts, that sort of stuff. As we already, I believe, saw. I think was it announced to sell it, or did I just see the Grey Cup sold out that I maybe miss? But I thought there was
believe
supposed
the
to be.
Grey Cup sold out today.
But I
Yes,
thought I
we
did
already
see
there
as
too.
well that SAS sold out the West Final too. But
No, I
I would
think it's
imagine.
like 3,000, but it'll be sold out by game time.
Yeah, so I would imagine a crazy atmosphere. Um, to be honest, if we're being completely honest, I really feel like the only kind of path to victory for the BC Lions is a Nathan Rourke legacy game. And I know I hear you wagging your finger, Blake. If we're being 100% honest with ourselves, we did not deserve to win that game last week.
Oh yeah.
Number one, the defense played like shit, if we're being completely honest, outside of really 4 sacks from the defensive line that were 4 plays. Vernon Adams Jr., outside of the 4 sacks, was not touched. As we know what Trevor Harris does well, he gets the ball out before the opposing defensive line even gets anywhere close. He has the quickest release time in the CFL by a little bit. So that's my first concern, is that he gets the ball out too quick for the defensive line to even get home. The secondary, I thought, kind of came back down to earth, outside of obviously Robert Carter. And then, as we also saw, Dietrich Mills rushed for over 100, and that's been a problem for us for years. And AJ Ouellette's coming into what? Run the ball? Yes. So, and he obviously was over 1,000-yard back once again this season. My biggest problem was that the offensive line by the BC Lions got fucking whooped last week. Got whooped. And yeah, I know Blake agrees with me on that one, because he has a nice front row seat and was able to see Nathan Rourke on his back way too much last week for my liking or his liking. The one thing I would say is that hopefully, I did talk about on the preview last week, that if, for whatever reason, the Lions are able to win with a B game from Nathan Rourke in the offense, maybe they're able to save that A game. And obviously they're not saving any games for West Final. They're trying to play their best on every given time. But if he's able to have, as I said, I think that's kind of their path to victory, is a Nathan Rourke, get on my back. Because as I also said earlier, James Butler rushed for 40 yards and is most definitely not 100%, as Blake already put in our group chat with our injury reports from the BC Lions. He's been limited all week. He's going to continue to be limited all week. The shitty thing is that it's not a upper body, it's not a shoulder, it's an ankle injury, which is, as we know, for any running back, is quite the problem. And
Kind of
I
important.
do have confidence in Xander Horvath to come in and to be a capable back, but it's that tough balance that Buck Pierce is going to have to balance of, like, do we take James Butler out because he's not 100% for Xander Horvath, or do we leave him in there because James Butler's been our guy all year? And as we saw last game, Xander Horvath didn't get much burn at all. They rode their guy, rightfully so, but he's not healthy, and and you could say like that wasn't really any fault of his own. If you do go watch the game back, a lot of the time on his carries, he's getting met in the backfield. He's getting touched before he even gets to the line of scrimmage. So for me, I feel like, unfortunately, it does suck to admit that Saskatchewan is the better team. And I think them playing at home just is the ultimate X factor. So I'm going to go with Saskatchewan, and I would love to be proven wrong, and would love to see BC in the Grey Cup. But I feel like I have to separate my heart from this one a little bit. I'll save the heart for Blake, because I know he's a big heart guy.
So just before we continue, I just have something to add to this. Last time BC went outside 2011, last time they played Saskatchewan in the West Final, they won.
Jason, or what? When was it?
That was the West Semi.
They beat Saskatchewan in the West Final. The Grey Cup that year was held in Winnipeg. Montreal was in the East Final that year and beat Toronto. saying, history has a funny way of, playing
Repeating
out.
itself.
Saskatchewan has also never played a Grey Cup in Winnipeg. So again, history has a funny way of repeating itself. Just something for people to take into consideration going into this weekend.
But yeah, no, like I think you actually put it very well, Cole. Like it's not a secret. I will admit that at their best, like even at the Lions' best, the Riders are a better team. But what do the Lions do well, Shane? Like I'll put that to you, is that you love to crap on Trevor Harris because what does he do? He gets a
Nothing.
lot of yards and not a lot of touchdowns. Like, and we talked about that last week. That was the Lions' path to victory last week. Was, can you force Calgary at that point to kick field goals instead of getting touchdowns? Well, they did. Yeah, they got help with Calgary making mental mistakes, but they were able to do that. Yeah, Calgary beat them in the yards. Yeah, Calgary had more rushing yards than them. Yeah, they had more passing yards. But when push came to shove, more times than not, the Lions defense held and was able to hold the Stampeders to field goals. And at the end of the game, the Lions had a better field goal kicker than the Stampeders because the Stampeders, let's not forget, the only reason it was tied 30-30 is because Paredes had missed an extra point earlier in the game.
Yeah.
So the Lions do a really good job of holding teams out of the end zone, at least on this current win streak that they're on. And if it does come down to a game of kicks, I trust Sean White way more than I trust Brett Lothar or whoever. I mean, he hasn't been on the injury report, so I would expect that it's Lothar. But whoever the Riders trot out as their kicker, like as you said, Cole, they are the better team overall. But the Riders also have a history of not necessarily winning the big game. Like, and I know Coach doesn't want to hear it, but 4 Grey Cups in over 100 years.
Yeah. We know.
Like,
And two of them in the last 20.
89,
yeah,
and no,
like,
06, or no, 07, and 2013.
yep. And like the Riders, they have a pattern of breaking their fans' hearts. Like, just just a few years ago, like the 2019 Grey Cup, I believe, when Fajardo hit the goalpost at the end zone.
Yeah,
So
the West
I'm not
Final.
as worried. Yeah, I'm not as worried about the James Butler injury because I feel like this type of game actually suits Xander Horvath. So if Butler is ineffective early or that injury gets worse, because we talked about the weather's not going to be the greatest either, then I would be okay going to Xander Horvath and seeing what he can do. I really like the Lions receivers. Like, I know the Riders have the DBs. They're obviously better in the defense, but I believe that the Lions can make 1 or 2 big plays, and that might just push them over the edge to get to the Grey Cup.
You make some good points, Blake. I'll give you that, buddy. You going BC though?
Yeah. I'm gonna
I'm
go with
glad.
my heart.
I'm glad you did, buddy. You got to. One of us got to.
But Coach,
Coach, don't
Well,
get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. We are absolutely ops on Saturday. It is fuck the Riders come Saturday, but for the sake of picks, I want to be
let me
right.
let me take you bitches back to after the Grey Cup when me and Cole did the off-season primer. Do you remember that, Cole?
I do.
And you asked me what's the Riders' goal, and I said
You
win the
gotta
fucking
kick the damn door down.
kick the fucking door down and win the fucking West. And I stand on that comment because the goddamn Riders are in the West like I said they would be. Now here's the deal. As a team, we are the most complete team. Out of all four teams, it's us, Montreal, Hamilton, BC. I'll say put BC over Hamilton complete wise. With us, it comes down to can the defense get Nathan Rourke off the field? Force him in uncomfortable situations where he has to throw. We can't give him too much time in the pocket. Now, with Trevor Harris, Shane, I'm with you. For once, I agree with you. I'm not too sure about Trevor Harris right now. But if Trevor can get us over the hump, hand the ball off to AJ, we've got so much depth at receiver. It's disgusting. We got to make plays when it fucking counts.
You
Pace the
might be
game.
missing your top receiver though, Coach.
I know.
Who?
Keyshawn Johnson. He hasn't practiced all week.
It's gonna be a game time decision from what I heard.
Yeah,
But
I thought he was in pads today.
No, I thought he didn't practice again. But
no, it's gonna be a game time decision. But
Coach is right though. They have so many receivers. It's ridiculous. Obviously, it's not ideal to lose your best one, but their receiving core is
they
ridiculous.
almost beat us with their backups. Like if we're being completely honest,
Mhm.
they probably should have beat us with their backups.
Yeah, honestly,
I'm putting. But here's the thing: it's that front line and that secondary. Can we get pressure on Nathan? Are we just going to stay with a four man pressure? And can our back end take care of business? Can we win the turnover battle? It can't just be Roland Milligan, who, in a way, hadn't. He's not going to top the year he had last year, but he's being consistent.
Yeah.
So let's just do our job, and we're gonna win the fucking game. We're gonna face Montreal. I ain't worried about no bitch ass Lions. I ain't worried about that shit.
Clip that, Shane. Clip that for next week. But
wait till 6:30 Pacific.
I love the BC Lions. Don't get twisted, but this week fucking hops.
Here's the thing. I just don't trust Trevor Harris.
We know, Shane. We fucking know.
Hey man, I had to watch him go into 2018, throw up 6 touchdowns on the Tiger Cats, and then lay a goddamn goose egg in the Grey Cup against Calgary. Like, this man is so, like, as hot and cold, do you think he's a Katy Perry song? Like, it is ridiculous. It was every other week you didn't know what you were getting with this man. And to watch it for 2016, 2017, and 2018, I'm like, this guy is arguably one of, when he's on, he's great. There's no denying that. But week to week, it's like throwing fucking cards in the air and hoping you land on a queen. Like, it just, you don't know what you're getting from him in week to week. You also
what are you asking of him? What we're asking of him to do? Manage the fucking game and take care of the fucking ball. Everything doesn't have to be. Hold on. Everything doesn't have to be 20 yards downfield.
No.
Nope.
But he doesn't do that. He doesn't push the ball downfield a lot. That's why his completion percentage is so good. He'll take those like 5 to 10 yards.
But that's what concerns me a little bit, fellas, boys, because that's what the Lions are, I would say, a little bit bad at. But as Blake did say, I guess it is maybe whether you want to call it a game plan wise, because they are able to bend and not break. But
I wouldn't say it's a game plan. I just think they're good at it. Like, I don't think you want the other team getting into the red zone,
But that was my biggest concern because VA was able to do that last week. He was able to get the ball out before Betts and Bell were able to even get anywhere close. So they were able to march up and down the field. Trevor Harris, that's what he does, is the quick game, the RPOs, getting the ball out very quickly. So that's where it's like we have to get pressure on him like right away. We have to make him feel uncomfortable. We have to like get Trevor Harris off his spot. That has to be like the front seven for me is like all eyes on them. Front seven has to, first of all, stop the run. AJ Ouellette cannot get going, and they have to get pressure on Trevor Harris. They cannot allow him to get comfortable. They cannot allow him to pre-snap, know what the BC Lions are in, and just let him shred. Because
but the thing about Harris as well is he's a lot less mobile than VA.
Yes, for sure, which is a favor in the BC Lions for sure.
Yes, but if I'm the Rough Riders fan, like if I'm a Rough Rider fan, I would be very concerned on how Trevor Harris, his history coming out of a bye week. He always seems to be a little bit slower, a little bit more sluggish at the start of a game coming out of a bye week. Not as crisp, not as quick with his decisions. I think if BC can jump to an early 14-point lead and jump in early on this team, I think it's theirs to win.
And Shane, just to add to your point a bit, sorry to cut you off, but Trevor Harris is coming off almost 3 full bye weeks.
Yeah,
he didn't play the entire game against Winnipeg. He only played pretty much the first quarter in the regular season finale. And then, of course, the Riders had the bye last week, so he didn't play in the West semi.
Yeah, so I think Trevor Harris will come in a little bit sloppy with that much time off. But I also think it comes down to being able to keep him off the field. Because once that offense gets going, like BC shouldn't be going after those long, quick plays.
No.
Time of possession is going to be huge in this game, and turnovers.
Yep.
I don't think the offensive line or like the trenches are going to matter as much. I think it's really going to come down to time of possession and extra possessions. Because what Trevor Harris is very good at is time of possession. He will take a drive that takes 60, 70 yards, and he'll waste 5, 6, 7 minutes just methodically hitting you for 5, 6 yards at a time. And I think BC just needs to keep him off the field by doing the same. They shouldn't be pushing the ball 20 yards downfield all the time. Like, they need to manage the clock on their drives instead of just, and I mean, it's hard they did it with Michael Riley. They've done it with Travis Lulay in the past. Like, it seems like BC is very hard with that. It always seems like they want to push the ball downfield. It's kind of their identity as an organization.
We play in a dome.
I know.
But that's because they feel the need that we're 9 games a year, we're inside, so they can. And then you realize, and that's also why we've seen this. They go to the prairies and we're not fucking ready. And I hate to say that. But
hopefully with Buck Pierce, who's played in Winnipeg, who's coached in that environment, you would hope that would help. You know,
he gave the cliche mindset of it's all a mindset, which it is. I agree with that. But then you look at Lions practice today, and they're all in hoodies and they're all like Under Armoured up, and it's like, man, like, I hear you boys. I am right there with you. I am as soft as it comes for being on the West Coast. But oh man,
it's going to be interesting. But I think for BC, they need to manage the clock. That's what's going to make or break this game. Because I agree, like, they have the better kicker, they have the better receivers, arguably.
They have the best player in the game.
Yep.
Right?
They have the best player in the game.
They do.
Keep him, protect him, and
He's
on the field.
As much as Tiger Cats fans want to debate it, there's no debate. He's the MOP this year. Like,
he's MOP and MOC, I think. But I don't know.
Well,
I'm personally worried because I feel like Saskatchewan is going to be able to get after him.
Physical.
And
that's going to be physical.
Yeah, and that's my thing. Is like
physical.
Shut up.
Once you get after him, it's tough. Like for sure. And I hope that's part of the scheme. That's what I'm going to talk about actually when I'm recording my or preview in a little bit here. Of that's got to be running the ball, and the ball's got to be out before they even get anywhere close. Especially because I know it's more of a game time decision this week than last week, Dejon Allen, but I would imagine it's more of like him. I feel like it's like the other question that I heard from being able to talk to Kowalski. I probably shouldn't have maybe name dropped him, but he mentioned they're also pretty worried about like him being able to finish a game. It's more so that as well. Of like they think that he can play, but as I've talked about in the past, like the Lions notoriously, and I know it's a CFL thing, which kind of drives me a little bit insane. Notoriously dress only 6 offensive line. The Lions do. And I know
have 45. It makes sense.
I know it's to do with ratio and special teams, but like it always just stresses me out. So in the NFL, they dress 8 to 10 offensive linemen on a weekly basis. So I'm always like, man, like and then we see like Micah Johnson having to like the emergency jersey and stuff like that. So like I get there's always those situations. Yeah,
but you also got to remember one thing though, and then we're out of here. The last couple times BC has been in the West Final, y'all get hurt. Y'all get hurt a lot.
Yep.
Nathan
Keon Hatcher and TJ Lee can tell you all about that.
So it's gonna be a physical game. Y'all going to get beat up. Your receivers are going to take hits. Can they get up and sustain that for 4 quarters? I love the receiving core y'all got, but it's gonna be an ass whipping. So just know, motherfuckers is gonna get beat down.
We too
Yep.
deep
All
in
right.
the field.
I got BC. F it. Coach just got to me. I know
That's fine.
Keon Hatch is going to be doing a lot of this flexing on that secondary after he's pointing for first downs. I can't wait now.
What
You
about
get all the
this
first
one?
downs
What
you
about
want.
this
Don't mean
one?
you're going to get into the end zone.
Yeah, we ain't saving none of that heart shit. Aiden Eberhard ain't going to get none of the action because we don't want any of that love.
Ain't nothing but
We
just
want
for air and
straight
opportunity. You can shrug your
business.
shoulders how you want to, like Brock Lesnar.
I've
It don't
changed my
fucking
mind.
matter.
I've changed my mind. Nathan Rourke legacy game. That's what we're seeing on Saturday. Fuck it.
You
Nathan
got a
Rourke
better
legacy
chance
game.
of Drew Brown having a better game,
Nope.
and he ain't even in the post.
Nathan Rourke legacy game. That's what we're seeing. I got the Lions, Shane.
Is that the
Shane's,
Lions now?
Yeah, I got the Lions.
Shane's
Coach,
I'm
catching
always saying the Lions.
strays.
F it.
I'm so confident with Lions that if Saskatchewan wins, I'll wear a Rough Riders jersey at during Grey Cup weekend in Winnipeg.
Oh, in Winnipeg too, eh?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I have one. I have one of the 2014 that collection, like that alternate collection,
Yeah.
like the watermelon skin. I have a blank one, so like I have one.
That's
So
work.
I like it. I like it.
if
You gonna be
Saskatchewan
back in
wins,
the you
I
gonna be back in the
will
lab,
wear a
Coach?
Rough Riders jersey one of the nights.
Huh?
I'll post a picture of it on Twitter, and I'll
No, I'll
I like
take
it,
the
Shane.
picture.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be there. Yeah.
Yeah. But
I like that it's you, not me. So that's what I'll say. But Coach, you gonna be back in the saddle this weekend or what?
Yeah, I'll be back in the saddle, brother.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
go.
Looking forward to it.
How's
So,
your season going? Is your season done now, Coach?
We're done.
no, you have one more game.
No, they're gonna cancel it.
Oh,
Why?
It's a long story. I don't
Oh God,
Stupid.
that's not good.
I know.
we won by 30 last week.
That don't mean nothing. We still ain't gonna go to the playoffs.
Yeah, we are. We're hosting a playoff game this week.
Oh no, you're talking about New West.
New
Yeah.
West, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna
Well,
say
you guys
I
do
thought you were
have
talking
in
about.
California.
Hmm?
The high school.
No, we played
Uh,
Georgia last year. But we have gone to California before.
Oh shit, that's hard.
Well, there's a high school in California that went from 6-3 to 0-9 because a parent
Oh,
of a
I
kid
saw
who
that.
Yeah.
got cut said that they had an ineligible ineligible player, and instead of waiting till the investigation was over, they forfeited all their wins, and the team's like, all the paperwork's in order, like here you go, and they basically just ruined an entire year because
What is
apparently
going
the parent
on with
got-
these parents
one
this
parent got
year?
mad.
These
So,
parents are wild.
When do you boys fly out then? You guys fly out after obviously Wednesday next week?
No, I'll be in Winnipeg. I'm flying out on Wednesday, so.
We're flying out Thursday morning. We're out of here at 7 a.m. Ottawa time.
Cool. So we're
So I
back
think
Wednesday next week.
Yeah, I'll
land-
be at a hotel room or something. I'll make it work.
Yeah, I think we land. I think 11 or 12. Well, yeah, or I think it's 11 or 12 like 11 or 12 Ottawa time in Winnipeg. It's like a
Look,
2.5.
I know it's our go-to, but we could always pivot as well if you guys if Blake was traveling and we had to switch or whatever. I'm sure that wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we're flying back out Monday afternoon. Our
Yeah,
flight
I'm
got
flying
pushed.
out. I'm flying out Monday as well. Got to be back at work on Tuesday, the 18th or whatever.
Yeah, same. We were supposed to fly out. We were supposed to land in Ottawa around 3. We're now landing in Ottawa around 8.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not terrible. It's not 1 or 2 in the morning, but
No,
still
God,
not
no.
great.
But yeah, it sounds like Air Canada. I'm not sure exactly. It sounds like Air Canada might have canceled the flight out that day, so we had to reroute through Porter, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's not the end of the world. It's just kind of annoying having to sit in an airport for
Yeah, exactly.
8 hours. But
Oh.
yeah,
All right.
that's it, guys.
All right.
2 more episodes. We'll have our Grey Cup preview and then our Grey Cup recap show. Got 2 more episodes to end the 2025 season, and then we're right into free agency and then the draft. And next thing you know, we're going to blink and it's going to be the 2026 season just around the corner. So it's crazy.
God damn.
The last one with the rules as we know it, but
Yeah.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
according to some people, true CFL football.
ugh. Let's just end before you get us all riled up.
Remember to make sure Facebook and make sure on Facebook you like the page. YouTube, like, share, comment, subscribe, put the alerts on so you never miss a live show or any type of content that gets posted here during the off season. Make sure you give us all a follow on Instagram and X, as well as like TikTok. 'Cause I know Coach Phil's on TikTok as well with his clips. So have a good one, guys. Enjoy this weekend's football. We'll catch you back here next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific.
Peace.